man himself is nothing. And there ain't no world but this one.
I've seen another world. Sometimes I think it was just my imagination.
If I go first, I'll wait for you there, on the other side of the dark waters. Why should I be afraid to die? I belong to you. We're going straight up that hill there. How many men do you think it's worth? How many lives? There's nowhere we can hide, except in each other.
I killed a man. Worst thing you can do. Nobody can touch me for it.
Make no difference who you are. No matter how much training you got, how tough a guy you might be, you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time, you're gonna get it.
I want you to attack right now, with every man at your disposal.
I've lived with these men, sir, for 2.5 years, and I will not order them all to their deaths.
Maybe all men got one big soul everybody's a part of. All faces of the same man. What's your name?
What difference you think you can make, one single man, in all this madness?
You're just too soft-hearted. You're not tough-fibered enough.
Have you ever had anyone die in your arms, sir?
You lit this flame in us. Because I have you, nothing can touch me. No hurt, no grief, not even death.
Thin Red Lines is a Terrence Malick film that came out in 1998. It came out just about the same time as Saving Private Ryan. Unlike Saving Private Ryan, this movie was not patriotic at all. In fact, it was probably one of the more anti-war films that there's ever been. The fighting men here in the movie are disillusioned, lost, and frightened. They don't fight at all for their country or democracy. They fight because they have to and because they're told to. The only priorities on these men's mind are surviving and, for only a couple of them, for their comrades. Thin Red Lines was supposed to be a narrative idea about World War II soldiers at Guadalcanal. There's a lot more that goes on in this film than just telling the story about a World War II incident, such as the nature. A lot of this film is about the nature and how war destroys it. One of the saddest parts of this whole film was when they zoomed in on a baby bird struggling because its wing was broken. All the gunshots were going off in the background and you didn't even see any soldiers. You just saw this baby bird.
What's this war in the heart of nature? Why does nature vie with itself? The land contend with the sea.
Authority played a mixed role in this film. All the soldiers ended up listening to the commanders or officers, but it always took a couple questions or arguments until they actually followed through and did what they were told. Right about the time that this movie started getting its ideas, in 1990, the Gulf War occurred, and this was a war waged by coalition forces from 34 nations, led by the United States against Iraq in response to Iraq's invasion and annexation of Kuwait. The Gulf War probably did have an impact on this film because at this time that it started to spur ideas, it was a war, and it was the United States against Iraq in the Gulf War's case, and in the World War II case of this movie, it was the United States against Japan. The World Trade Center bombing occurred on February 26, 1993, when a bomb hit the North Tower, and it was intended to then hit the South Tower, supposed to kill tens of thousands of people. It failed to do so and only killed 6, but still injured 1,000. This whole thing was planned by terrorists. From then on, most Americans had a strong hatred towards terrorists. Just like that, in the movie, the American soldiers had a very strong hatred towards the Japanese. Specifically in one scene, there's an American soldier who shot down 2 Japanese men. Even though they were both dead, he continued to beat them, showing his dislike and passion against the Japanese. The World Wide Web was invented in 1989, making things so much easier to access. This probably had an impact on why Thin Red Lines was seen by so many people. It could easily be advertised. This probably was thought about when creating the film. Because of the way authority was depicted in this film, Thin Red Lines is definitely a Vietnam movie. Also, it goes for the most anti-war film of all time.